This is Joe Larsen from the 505 On Racing Show, live every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch as I dive into everything from NASCAR and motor racing, only on InRavio.com.
InRavio.com.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larsen, and you're watching the 505 On Racing Show. Welcome to another evening of fun and frolic here on the 505 On Show. I'm looking forward to having a good night tonight. It should be good. A few things I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about the Cup results, of course, in the nationwide. And also, I had a conversation with a car owner over this past weekend at Waterford. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about professionalism, not only from race teams, but from officials as well. So, welcome. We're looking forward to tonight's show. It was a good weekend. I went to Waterford Speed Bowl. And I'll tell you what, I want to start right with that because I'll tell you what an experience, and it was a good experience. It was an awesome experience. First of all, when I arrived to the facility bright and early Saturday morning, the owner of the facility, Terry Ames, was in the parking lot giving instruction to his what he calls customer service people. They all have a shirt that says customer service, very professional. And as I pulled up, I rolled down my window, and I should roll it down. I pressed the button, and said hello to Terry. And right from the get-go, he came over to my car, shook my hand, and told me go right into the pit area and park inside to make it easy. Now I didn't park inside. I parked right next to it because the distance from my car to the gate was a lot shorter than the distance from where we're going to park in the pits. But to be met by the owner of the facility like that and be told, to be welcomed as I was welcomed, made me feel good anyway. So it was good. And although there weren't as many tour modifieds as there have been in the past at the Waterford Speed Bowl for this modified tour event, the cars that did show up put on a good show. But that's not what I want to start off with. What I want to start off with is the whole entire facility is top shelf. Now, the pit area isn't what you would expect from a NASCAR racetrack. It's gotten better. I remember the first time I went there in 2003, I was outside in the parking area, and the haulers were all lined up, and there weren't the great big giant used double stackers that a lot of the teams have today. There were some open trailers, there were some enclosed trailers, but everybody had 4x8 sheets of plywood with them, and I didn't understand why until we got inside and the pit area was pretty much sand. But that's all changed as they put some, what looks like millings down, and there's some paved areas that weren't paved years ago. But the track itself, and the grandstands and the concession stands, I was very impressed, and they do a good job keeping it up. But what really impressed me is these people walking around the facility wearing these customer service T-shirts to identify them as customer service people, to help the people who come to watch the races, help the race teams, whatever needed to be done. And they were all polite. They went to you, they were proactive. Is there anything I can get for you? Are you looking for something? Throughout the whole day. Now, I was probably there about 9:30, quarter to 10 in the morning, waiting for the gate to open, and spent that brief moment with Eric Goodale and his crew, just talking stuff, you know. But throughout the entire day, I mean, we didn't race till after 9 o'clock, and it was a long day, but it didn't seem like a long day. I mean, there was some downtime, don't get me wrong, but again, I want to go back to the professionalism. Not only the way the promoter greeted me, the owner of the place, I should say, but throughout the entire day, the officials, the officiating. And I talked to some people who, this was their first time to the Waterford Speed Bowl, and they were impressed, you know, with the racing now, and I guess that's where I'm leading to, the racing. They were side by side, door handle to door handle, bumper to bumper racing in every one of the local series, every one of their divisions. There was no nonsense. There was no wrecking people on purpose. There was no wrecking people after the races. There was no sending somebody up into the fence because you don't like them, or they sent you to the fence 3 weeks ago and you're paying them back. There was just good, tight, hard, old-fashioned racing. And I'll tell you what, in my eyes, nothing beats that. Nothing. You know, that's what you're there to do. You're there to go racing. You're there to race hard. And I get a kick out of some of these teams. And I was talking to a local driver here from Long Island. I'm not going to say, and they weren't at the tour race. I was talking about at a different time. And they were talking to me about how you can't race at the local racetrack because nobody knows how to. Now, I disagree with that. They all know how to. They just don't want to sometimes. You know, and I've said to people, and even back in the day, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, hey, listen, if it's not your day, let it be somebody else's day. Give them the lane, give them the outside, give them wherever they need to go. But you know, I watch some people sometimes. They go down a straightaway like it's an S curve, and just keep going back and forth, because they're not going to give up that spot. Now they've backed up the whole field behind them. Somebody's going to get ticked off. Somebody's going to send somebody. That's not racing. But again, the professionalism that went on there. And I've always been treated well at Waterford Speed. I've been treated well at just about 99% of the racetracks I go to. And you know, it's just incredible. You know, when you're walking through the Midway and people that you don't even know, hey, how you doing? How you doing? You know, when's that book coming out? Hey, when are you going to make your debut? I hear you're going to be racing. I'm like, wow, I don't even know these people. But you know, it's just incredible. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to this professionalism. Now, for those of you who know me and know me for a long time, you know that back in the day, I wasn't the most mellow person that ever walked through the pit area. I was a little bit of a crazy guy. Even after I became an official, it took me a long time to learn how to, you know, bite my tongue, pick my battles, and all kind of stuff. And I look at my local racetrack, and again, please don't, you know, go take this as a bashing my local race, because I'm not. This could be at any racetrack across the country, and I'm going to talk about officiating. What officials need to know, and took me a long time to learn, is that when you get into it as a race car driver, when you just wrecked, You just tore up a race car that you've worked all week to get ready. You spent your last dollar on a set of tires. You took the electric bill money and you bought fuel, and you need a decent finish to make it happen. And some knucklehead decides, no, you got to go. And they'll send you in the fence and wreck you. Now, the worst thing for an official to do is to run down there and let's make sure there's no altercation. Because I think that just fuels the fire, because what happens at that point is that somebody on the crew, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, the guy next door, somebody is going to fuel that fire. And now you have an altercation. And what I've been seeing and hearing about and talking to people about is some of the situations that arise because of those types of circumstances need to be diffused by the officials. Here's where I'm getting. I was wondering what happened to a certain race team that was bringing 3 cars to my local racetrack. I don't go every week to my local racetrack for reasons that those in my circle know about. And for those who don't know about it, it doesn't matter. But there's other things to do sometimes. I know you might think I'm crazy, but there's other things to do. So it turns out, from what I was told by 4 people whose stories matched exact, unrelated to each other, told to me at different times, that one of the drivers went up with, I'll say, an attitude. That wasn't the word they used, but that's what we use on the show, an attitude. But what happened was the official that they had this situation with did not defuse the situation. They added to it. They fueled the fire. Next thing you know, this driver, and I don't condone this type of behavior, but they shoved the official. Now, the official should have just got up, dusted himself off, and walked away. But what that official then is, maybe pushed back, maybe. So now what happens is driver number 2 of this team sees this and says, nobody's going to do that to my whatever they are to each other. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of the story. And he shoves this official. Now there's a pushing and shoving match between this official and these 2 competitors. Well, the patriarch of this race team says, nobody's going to do that to my drivers. He gets involved, and the next thing you know, they're not there anymore. Now, I was a head official at that place for 4 seasons, maybe 5, I don't remember. And I got into a lot of screaming and yelling matches with people. And in all the years and all the drivers that I had words with or had words with me, only one driver ever touched me in a way that I would feel it was threatening. And that driver then spent the next 52 weeks out on their boat. Now, you need to know when to back off. You need to know when to not get crazy with a competitor. Still silent. You're not silent if you type things. But an official, after they're pushed down, they need to walk away. If they're pushed, they're shoved, they're hit, they're smacked, they're grabbed, or whatever. They need to walk away, get a little pad out, get a pad and start writing names and the date, the time, glance around, who saw this? Because in my opinion, if any official is touched in any way other than to pat them on the back or to shake their hand, they don't belong racing. You know, yeah, Video Mike, I got the whole story. And 4 different people See, 6 different people told me the story. 4 people's matched exact, and the other 2 people left some things out and added to it. So, and I'm going to tell you something, and still silent, put the name up on the team that did it. I happen to know this individual, the paycheck of the team, probably 25 to 30 years, if not more. And I knew when his kids were born, so I know his kids their whole life. And it is frustrating. It's frustrating on their behalf because, and I'm not sticking up for anybody here, I'm just talking facts. But it's frustration as a competitor when you feel something's happened and you've been wronged. I know all too well about that, and I could tell you a situation. It was back in 1989. I started on the outside pole in a figure 8 feature. It was a 15-lap event. By lap 10, I had a straightaway lead on the second place team of Clay Walston and the third place guy, Steve Sticker. Now, back in the pack, deep in the pack, there was Joe Bianalolo Jr., George Brown, a couple of top runners that they were, and they, I'm sure, would have called me. Tommy Ryan, I'm sure they would have called me. But you know what? There was like 6 to go, and this was my day. I just knew it. I just knew it was my day. And like I said, I was going into turn 1, and the second place guy, Clay Wilson, was just coming out of turn 4. And it wasn't a lot of X traffic. I was maneuvering it really well. And then there was a wreck up by the ramp. 3 cars. 3 cars go wrecking. I think the late Ralph Towser was one of them. And as they rolled down the embankment, the red flag came out because the figure 8s didn't use yellows. Then they used the red flag. You gotta stop. The red flag comes out. I just stop. I'm like, all right, I better slow down. So I slow down, and I see the wreck, and I see people rolling on people, cars rolling down the embankment. And I stop. I'm not part of the wreck. The wreck already happened. When I felt it was safe to go, I went. Now they're lining us up, and I go right to the front of the line for the restart. I'm first. The assistant starter at the time of the start, I'm not even sure, he was holding me up, and he's waving cars around me left and right. I'm like, what the heck is this? And in my mind, this race was mine to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win this race. And all of a sudden, I'm counting the cars, and 18 cars want to hit me, and then he waves to me, go. I'm like, whoa, 19th. No. I pull up to take down my window net, and I'm like, I'm leading this race. I'm not. Why am I 19th? And he looks at me like, well, I don't know. I said, look at the scoreboard. That's my car number, and I'm the leader, and there's not even a scratch on my race car. So I wasn't part of the wreck. So you need to find out what's going on here. So he gets on the radio, comes back. He goes, no. The head guy said, you're part of the wreck. You're 19th. Go 19th to go in the pits. Now, I'm a hothead. I'm crazy. I pounded my way through the field, and I probably hit 22 figure 8 through that mess. I hit every car that was in the way. I ended up finishing with 6 laps to go. I ended up finishing 6th or 7th, and then we pulled off the racetrack. And as I'm going through the gate, I'm undoing the belts. Off comes the helmet. I throw the helmet, the belts, and everything, and I drop the window net, and the car rolls into the. If you've ever been at Riverhead Raceway, the handicapper shack is right. It rolls into there. I get out, and I shove the head official. Stupid, dumb, idiotic move. Somehow, I walked away with nothing. Somehow. No fine, no suspension, no starting the back for the next 3 weeks, nothing. Okay, so it was, I was probably Roger then. But my car was destroyed. I mean, there wasn't, I don't think there was a part of my car that didn't have a dent on it, maybe the roof, but everything else, because I hit everything. 8 wheels turned better than 4. I was getting to the front. And so I understand the passion, and I understand the anger, and I understand what a race car driver goes through. And that, although it took me a while to learn, made me a better official, especially when I got onto the Wheel and Modified Tour. I don't think I had words with any crew member, crew chief, driver, or owner in the whatever many years from 2003 to 2013. Not once did I get into anything because I was on both sides of the fence, and I knew. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about a discussion I had with a Modified Tour owner who has raced on the island and wasn't too happy with a call that was made. When we come back. Thank you.
Hey Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On InRavio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
Paul Brown and the Killing Devils. Alternative progressive rock like you've never heard before. Over 1 million views on YouTube. New York City Village Voice says Paul is a gifted singer, songwriter, and musician with one of the best progressive rock bands on the planet. LA Underground Music Exchange calls him the only modern American band to cover every genre well. Pick up the albums Black Widow Tears, Red Spider, and The Wizard's Dawn, now on iTunes. And get to facebook.com/Killing Devils to keep up with the latest info.
Hi, this is Tony.
And I'm Dan, and you're watching
Dear Dad.
Oh, wait, you're not watching it yet, but you should be every Thursday at our new time from
7 to 8.
That's the new time. Dear Dad on InRavio.com.
Only InRavio.com.
Where else could it be? Tune in.
On the internet.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or the flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back. A nice little discussion there about the old days. It was 1989. It was 25 years ago. Man, you know, I was young and little heavier than I am now, but I say that jokingly. But it was, you know, it was a whole different time back in the 80s racing and as it is now. But I'll tell you what, like when I went to Waterford this past weekend, every division had full fields and it was just good, awesome racing. Man, I wish I had an SK car. I would go race there. I really would. I think I would have a good time there. But anyway, speaking of racing, still, you know, because everybody's kind of wondering. I saw some things I saw something on the social media with a PR guy from Riverhead was made a comment of how many cars are registered for the tour race, which did not include the 6 or 7 locals who also were going to do the tour race. And then he had to throw in and that Wade Cole had 2 cars entered, the 38 and the 33, but there was no mention of the 83. Now, I must have told them like 17 times what the deal is, but I guess, you know, they got to get their little digs in, and that's okay, because, you know, what did Dale Earnhardt Sr. say? If, whether they're booing or they're cheering or they're saying good or saying bad, you're being noticed. So anyway, so I'm walking around the garage area at Waterford, and I guess that's what we call it at this level, even though it's the pit area. And I'm walking around and I see Kenny Massa, owner of the NASCAR Wheeler Modified Tour, number 51, driven by Justin Bonsignore. And I asked her what happened, you know, that night that Justin was put to the rear for jumping the start. Now, the kid jumped the start, there's no question. Whether he jumped it by a foot, 3 foot, 5 foot, 10 feet, a half a lap, it doesn't matter. Whether you jump it by an inch or a quarter of a mile, you still jump the start. And I respect what Justin did. Here's why. And what Justin did was this. He went. Hey, you know what? He went. And when he was put to the rear for that, I mean, they went yellow. Boom, yellow, right? Like they needed another yellow, like they needed, you know, rain. They went yellow to put him in the rear. I know in other series, and I know it's series, if somebody jumps a start, they have a lap to give it back. But apparently, there was some drivers meeting in the beginning of the year, at the winter meets, at some point, where they were said, this is your warning. Jump the start, and you're going in the back. Now, this is what you need to do as a head official. A guy who does not run with you every week. You need to pull him to the side and go over these little, what I call local rules. So it used to be you got a warning, you know, they'd let you go race it, maybe take a spot away at the, you know, the next caution, but you got a guy, a driver who doesn't race with you every week. You need to bring him in. You need to say, hey, and I'm not going to pat myself on the back here, but those are the things I did. If I didn't do it personal, I had Gravel do it. I had Mike DeBello do it. Hey, you know, this guy doesn't normally run with us, so he hasn't been here in a while. And I had notes. When I had driver meetings, so nobody could say I never said. I wrote it, I followed my notes. All right, guys, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to blah, blah, blah. By division, and whatever questions came up that were answered, I wrote them on the bottom, so that if it ever came back to bite me, I could go back to my file, open it up, you know, just like when I had a competitor or a crew chief around in the office. Because, you know, at the end of the night, they won't come into the office and say, hey, Joe, nice job. Your officials are great. They always came in with a situation. So I kept an index card, the driver, the number, the division. And I had the modifieds in one section, late models, chargers, figure eights, blunderbuss, trucks, whatever. And I put them in numerical order. And if it was the crew chief or the car owner, they went with the car number. And a driver would come in, hey, you know, Joe, I'm never in here complaining, but you know what, tonight was blah, 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 blah. And I'd go get the index card, and I'm saying, what do you mean you're never in here? You were in here on May 4th, you were here on May 19th, you were here on June 12th, and I go, no. So they stopped that nonsense, you know. So anyway, and Video Mike, you're absolutely right. You can't have selective rule enforcement. Like I said, a new guy, maybe not a new guy, the guy's run there before, he's a champion there. A guy shows up that hasn't run there. Maybe you made this rule at open at night. He wasn't there. So he never had a warning. So anyway, for those who don't know, he refused to go in the back. Not that he stayed up front. He pulled out. Hey, you know what? You don't want me here. Boom. Off he goes. His car owner then got into an altercation with the official, one of the head guys, which that's still a whole other issue with me, but I'm not going to go there anymore. And apparently there was some touching. Not violent, nobody got punched, but there was somebody pushed back, somebody fell. Now, the penalty was, from what I was told by Kim Hazard, he's not allowed at Riverhead Raceway. Now, I'm not saying what he did was right or wrong, and I'm not saying what the head official did was right or wrong. What I'm saying is this: you're touching the official. You're supposed to be out. And if you're holding a NASCAR license, as the rulebook states, not only in the weekly series, but in the touring series and also in the top 3 series, you do that, you're out. They take your license. Now, one of the things that bothers me is they have these, you know, and I saw this opening day, you know, there was a guy who was supposedly suspended for something he did the last night of the year during a NASCAR show. They let him serve a suspension for the Enduro races, which is nothing, which is not NASCAR. So I don't understand that. Or you get suspended from NASCAR. You're suspended. You're suspended. You sit in the grandstands, or you go bowling, or you go out on your boat and go fishing. You don't walk around the pit area flaunting what you did. And that goes on. But anyway, so, you know, in talking with Ken Massa, and I'll tell you what, I like Ken Massa. I have a lot of respect for him and for what he does and how he handles himself. But you know what? I understand his frustration. And he said something to me, and I'm not going to repeat it, but what I got out of that was they don't want an outsider coming in and disrupting their game plan. And he might not be wrong in that feeling. Again, I don't go there all the time, and I have my reasons for that. And the times I do go, I get dragged there, but and not forcibly. I mean, you know, it's give and take. What are you going to do? But I believe I have Kevin Basic on the line still. I forgot all about him. Yeah, Kevin's still there. Let's bring Kevin in. Kevin, you out there?
Yeah, I'm out there. I got the results from Friday night's Town of Brookhaven tournament that was over in Ridge.
You got it. Go.
Yeah, first place was the Farmingville Bandits. Second place was the Riverhead Ironman. Third place was Miller Place, and I don't have fourth or fifth. But it was a good night, pretty good crowd there. They're all the motorized teams from Nassau and Suffolk are running this Saturday at I think it's a 6 o'clock start at Fireman's Field over in Ridge. That's off at 25, which is Jericho Turnpike. 6 o'clock start. I think it's 6 o'clock. You can check it by going to NewYorkStateDrillTeams.com. And if you can't get to the races, you can listen to it live, like I'm listening to your show right now live through their website. What else? I didn't go to Riverhead this past Saturday night, and I won't be there this upcoming Saturday night because me and Betty have tickets to go see Styx. So, and I also wanted to ask if anybody's interested. I'm getting rid of my little 4-cylinder Hyundai. I got another car.
Yes. Yes. Fire department races, drill team tournaments. I'll tell you, if you've never been to one and you can get one on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon, it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's very interesting. I can't believe that these guys get these modified trucks and the C rigs. They look like modified race cars, and they go flying down this quarter-mile straightaway. They lock the brakes. They jump off with a ladder and they climb up to the top of the ladder. It's pretty cool. But
yeah, actually, one team, Riverhead Ironman, has a tour modified Joe Hartman's motor in their C truck. Believe
that's
it
where that motor went.
Yeah, Joe Hartman's motor is in Riverhead Ironman's C truck. I think he's a member of Riverhead.
Yes, he is.
Fire department also.
Yes,
yeah,
he
so
is.
That's where the motor went.
Yeah, because he said it just got too costly for him to race, not only on the tour but at his local racetrack as well.
You're right. Yeah, and I was there 2 weeks ago, and when Justin jumped to start, but it didn't look that bad. I mean, it looked like wheel to wheel, whatever. It was close because I got it on video.
Yeah.
It didn't look like he jumped. I was like, what the hell are they stopping for?
Yeah,
that's the way it looked.
They paint this little box there now.
Yeah, right.
And first of all, it's nighttime, and it's hard to see that little box. And
right.
You know, but you know, the rule says in the vicinity of.
Right.
But if you go to the NASCAR rule book, it says that the start is in the vicinity of a predetermined place or a spot. And he was in the vicinity of, but they want to split hairs there, and they want to say, nope, he went 1 foot too soon. And to me, that's not racing.
Like from the video, it looked like a pretty even start, believe it or not.
And I agree with that. I was sitting up at top turn 2, and I had a bird's eye view, so to speak, of that. And not to discredit the officials who made the call, but I wouldn't have made that call. Years ago, they went in turn 3. Now they got them going in turn 4 for whatever reason. I'm sure they have their reasons. And they got this little yellow square painted on the ground. There's so much garbage on that racetrack in the aprons. I'm sure it's even hard to see by the end of the night that guys cutting down low and going through it, there are those tire marks on it anyway. So I don't know. Like I said, I respect what Justin did.
Yeah, and then afterwards, with that altercation, I happened to be there with the altercation because I was talking to, like I said, Justin's owner. And the guy that does all the maintenance on the track, I forget, Steve, I forget what his name was, asked me if I was coming back next week, because I sided with Justin's owner,
Right.
I said, no, I'm not going to be here next week. I got something else to do. And he's like, do you want your NASCAR press passes? I go, no, whatever. Next thing he goes, your press passes are pulled.
Yeah.
And I didn't even do nothing. So I went I was going to touch him on his back, like say, yeah, okay, whatever. Make peace, whatever. So I don't even know if I'm there next week or 2 weeks. I won't be there this week, like I said, but
right.
I don't even know if I'm welcome there anymore.
But,
I didn't even do nothing. I didn't even do nothing.
It's kind of funny because here at In Radio, we requested press passes, but not for the season, for like a couple of events, and we would, imagine that, denied.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So who would have thought? But if the press, the press is allowed there if they have no opinion.
Right.
For, those who just write the who, what, when, where, and are very objective about it and don't put their own little spin or I felt or he felt. They just write the results and so maybe some of the human interest. Those guys are good to go. But they didn't want me coming there interviewing drivers, which I don't need. I could pay my way in to interview drivers, as you well know. So
yeah, right.
I don't need the credential, but my crew needed the credential because that would be quite expensive. Me, bring a camera guy in and a sound guy and an admin to hold my cue cards and stuff and put my makeup on, But it's just a shame because I go to a lot of racetracks across the Northeast now, and I'm seeing full car counts and I'm seeing full grandstands.
Yeah, like Saturday night, I heard there was only 10 modifies there.
Yeah,
it was like
10 or
nothing
11.
in the other divisions, and they only had, for an Enduro, they only had 5 cars. What the hell's that?
Yeah, I can remember having 200 Enduros, 400, excuse me, 4 100-car Enduros on a Sunday afternoon. And getting at it at 8 o'clock at night from 9 o'clock in the morning, with racing starting like at 1.
Like I said, it's time for new ownership and whatever, and they can make that place so much better.
Well, it
could be so much better if they just did it right.
I think what needs to be done, and not just there, but at other racetracks across the country, you need to let the officials officiate and let the chips fall where they may, and only, I guess, go after that official behind the scenes in the office when they've broke rules. And as an official, you got to know the rules, the racing rules, and what you need to do is enforce those rules consistently. And that I don't think that happens at a lot of racetracks.
Yeah, right.
But the ones that I've been going to so far, for the most part, do that. They're consistent. Like I was talking to a driver just not this week, a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, at our racetrack here, if you do this, this is what you're getting. It doesn't matter if you're the points leader, the state champion, or a guy who's first time. You do this, this is what you get.
Or the kid's son that owns the racetrack. Right.
Exactly. And like I said at Waterford, there was no nonsense. It was a good, hard racing in every division with no nonsense. None.
Yeah, I've been to that track a few times, and that's where my brother's coupe originally came from.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just a great racetrack.
Incredible. But it's one of those things.
So maybe I'll see you there in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I think I'm going. That's the July 5th show. I think I'm going.
Yeah, I'll be there that night.
Yeah, I think I'm going to that. And of course, I'll be at Riverhead Raceway this Saturday night because the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will be there, and the 83 will not be there as of right now. And if it is there, it won't be with me driving. It'll be probably with somebody else. But they're still working on my approvals, which I really didn't think it was going to be this hard, but it is.
It's like that for every driver. I mean, suppose
I'm hoping.
You know, I drove in Pennsylvania, you know, at Mountain Speedway or Mahoney or something like that, and I wanted like Eric Beers or something before he was famous.
Yeah.
Would he have a problem? You know.
Well, here's what they told me, and I respect what they said, is that I literally have thousands of laps in a full-fended race car, whether it was a figure eight or a street stock or a barn, whatever I raced over the years. But I had zero competitive experience in an open-wheel car, and they want me to go out and go get that. And it's like, you know, you go for a job interview, we'd love to hire you, but you got no experience. And how do you get experience?
Unless you go out on the track. So
Yeah,
listen,
exactly.
when it comes to old timers night, we'll throw you in one of those old
Hey, I'm ready.
modifies.
I'm all dressed up. I had nowhere to go.
Videotape it and send it to NASCAR and tell him, yeah, he's out there. It might be an old modified, but it's still modified.
Yeah, because that's not a practice. That's an actual, you know, like a vintage race, so that might count.
Yeah. We actually, whoever wins, wins. Hopefully that night we'll have a couple of trophies. I know we definitely have, thanks to the tow truck guys out there. Was it Bugatti Brothers or Burger? I forget what their name is.
Briganti Brothers.
Briganti, yeah, they're going to actually help sponsor, you know, have tow money for the guys to go home.
Very good.
If anybody's listening right now that knows anybody that has old modifies, midgets, whatever race on Long Island, they're more than welcome. If they know any old-time drivers, the drivers are welcome. I'm looking for old-time drivers, plus the cars. We'll make it a really great night, and hopefully we'll have it like every year. You know what I'm saying?
Will that be August 16th?
That's August 16th, yes.
Very good. And then the
the
following
drivers have to be there for
Sunday
12.
is the old-timer reunion at the Himes Museum of Nostalgia, the 24th.
Right.
August, so it would be good.
Right. I just gave a whole bunch of DVDs to Marty. Actually, they're the old VHS tapes of all midget racing, modified racing. The videos I got, you know, Ricky Miller. Karen gave me a whole, like, 6 boxes, and each box had like 30 videos in there. So I got about 100 videos from him, believe it or not, plus my own stuff. And I just recently moved. My bedroom looks like a storage area. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty tight.
I know that deal.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Kevin, Long Island Need for Speed, I appreciate you coming and giving us those fire department results and reminding us about the Old Timers Night.
Right. And I'll see you out there July 5th.
I'll be there.
All right. Yeah, tomorrow night we're going to a Met game, so that should be interesting. I haven't been to a game in about 10 years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be good. I've never
All
been
right,
to
thanks.
Citi Field. All right, Kevin, thank you very much. And with that, we'll take a break and we come back and talk about some of the things going on behind the scenes in the Sprint Cup Series when we come back.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On InRavio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
Paul Brown and the Killing Devils. Alternative progressive rock like you've never heard before. Over 1 million views on YouTube. New York City Village Voice says Paul is a gifted singer, songwriter, and musician with one of the best progressive rock bands on the planet. LA Underground Music Exchange calls him the only modern American band to cover every genre well. Pick up the albums Black Widow Tears, Red Spider, and The Wizard's Dawn, now on iTunes. And get to facebook.com/Killing Devils to keep up with the latest info. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hi, this is Tony.
And I'm Dan, and you're watching
Dear Dad.
Oh, wait, you're not watching it yet, but you should be every Thursday at our new time from
7 to 8.
That's the new time. Dear Dad on NRadio.com.
Only NRadio.com.
Where else could it be? Tune in.
On the internet.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, we're in the chat room having a little discussion about figure-8 drivers who went modified racing and became, winners and champions. And just off the top of my head, it was Dan Giovanelli, who went from figure-8 racing, late models and modifieds, and won championships. Greg Sachs, we all know, ended up Sprint Cup racing. John Fortin, figure-8 champion, modified champion. Tommy Rogers Jr., Chris Young. There's just so many people that made the jump from figure-8s to modifieds, and and I know it was a different time, for most of these guys. And when I say a different time, the resume committee consisted of, from what I understand, one guy, and I helped him sometimes. And I went to some racetracks and did some stuff to observe drivers. So it's a different time, and I don't disagree with what NASCAR is doing, but what I think, and I just said this not too long ago, I think what they can do is, especially under the conditions that they have now, that the car counts are very low, and what they should do is, you allow that guy to practice, and you observe him. You actually observe this individual. So I don't know. I agree with NASCAR. I'm not trying to buck the system, but it's more than a little bit frustrating to go through that. We have one car, one motor. We were forced to build a fourth car and get another motor, and now bring that car down to Long Island and get a shop and all of that stuff to work on it, and try to gather up a crew, and it's I don't know. I don't want to really get into it too much, because I'm trying to do what they tell me to do, and I'm doing that anyway. And Silverback, my crew chief, who's on the disabled list, made a surprise appearance at the Waterford Speed Bowl. Kind of sitting there doing my thing, probably eating a sandwich or something, and he comes hobbling in, and it was just good to see him. He for those who are listening, he wasn't working on the car. He didn't touch a car. He kind of just sat there, and he just sat there. But he, from his vantage point of where he was pointing out some things, and but it was good. It was good to see him, back in the pit area, and You know, we won't be seeing him, I'm sure, this year. And maybe, you know, his recovery is still going on, but it was good to see him, and we were all happy to see him. It was all good, so it was a good deal. Anyway, speaking of Waterford, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour was at Waterford this past weekend, which I probably said 17 times. And let's see what we have here. Donnie Lee took the pole and led most of the event. Donnie Lee was strong, but Bobby Santos was all over him. Bobby Santos ended up with the win, with Donnie Lee as second, Ted Christopher third. You have Justin Bonsignor fourth, Patrick Emmerling with a good solid run, finishing fifth. Ryan Preece was sixth, Woody Pitkat seventh, Keith Rocco eighth, Ron Uhus Jr. ninth, and Doug Colby rounding out the top 10. After 4 events, the points kind of look like this, with Justin Bonsignor with a 2-point advantage over Doug Colby. Bobby Santos is 5 points back. Woody Pitkat 8 points back, so it's pretty tight up there. And then Teddy Christopher 17 back in 5th place. I'll tell you, it's a very, very competitive field this year. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in this race, and as much as it affected my team, I understand how this could happen from working in the tower. So my hat's off to the guys and gals in the tower, you know, Jimmy and Brian and the scoring team. Because this is what happened. There's no way you could fix this. There's no way it could be fixed. And I'll give you the scenario. There's a late caution. The race is coming, winded down, 5 to go, whatever, 6 to go. Late caution. The 8 car driven by Glenn Reen pits. And again, I'm not blaming Glenn for anything. He's just a racer trying to race. He pits, they're doing a cleanup. It's announced, green, white checker. So the cars are kind of cruising around on yellow. They get the 1 to go signal at the line. And right before that is given, it was said, and the 8 car then pulls out of the makeshift pit area that they have for the tour mods, goes on to the race car, and in his defense, he was probably trying to go to which he's entitled to do, to the last car in the lead lap. However, I didn't get to talk to him afterwards because he was having a discussion with another car owner that we're not even going to get into. But in his defense, he pulls out, he's looking, his spotter is telling him where to go, I'm sure. And who does he pull in front of? He pulls in front of the 38, the 18, and the 33. 2 from my team, and 1 is from a good friend of mine. And in his head, he's thinking, those guys can't be on the lead lap. And he passes them. Now we're going green. Green, white, checker, done. He finishes like 12th or something. Now, he should have finished 15th or 16th. NASCAR scoring didn't pick this up. There's nothing you can do about it once it happens. If NASCAR would have picked it up, which I don't know how they could have picked it up because you're going green. Or if there were more laps to go, if it wasn't a green, white checker finish, they could have fixed it then. But you can't take those spots away because that's where he finished, even though it was an error made. And again, and I didn't have the luxury of transponders when I was a race director. You know, I had to rely on my scoring team and my eyes. And that's not something you're going to pick up. Because what you're looking at, in defense of Brian and Jim, is you're looking at the start. This needs to be a good, clean start. Nobody could jump. Even though the transponder is going to give you that number, you know, the leader get beat to the line by a second, you still got to watch it. So I don't blame NASCAR for it. It kind of stings for us that we lost 2 spots. And, you know, those 2 spots are only like 4 points. But you know what? 4 points at the end of the year could be the difference of being on the bonus plan or not, which with the suspension last year of the 017, not the suspension, their crew chief, but them electing not to race the last race, Wade went from 21st in the points to the 20th. So every point counts every race, week in and week out. So it's a little disheartening. I don't know, but it's one of those things. And You know, it's nothing anybody can do about it after the fact. It's just one of those things. It wasn't done on purpose. They didn't screw up like a lot of people thought. They just did not see it. They did not see the 8 car come day. As far as they were concerned, he was going where he was supposed to go. And, you know, you have a double file restart, so if you go in front of them, you're going to pass 2, and then he went in front of the other guy, he passed actually 4 cars. But the way it finished out, he only gained 3 spots. So, again, not Glenn's fault. Maybe his spot should have went to this official. Who's the last car in the lead lap were coming out? And the last car in the lead lap would have been, I guess, us. And you know, we were running 13th at the time. And that wasn't done. So it was, you know, just one of those things. And it's kind of a shame. So, but, yeah, you know what? We'll get him next time. We'll get him at the next. You know, so I don't know. And 22 Fig 8 is still trying to figure out some of the Brett Bodine, who is in charge of the resume committee. You know, and he's saying Brett got a copy of the 90s figure 8 action. He can't get the image of you flying over the lap 1. I was, yeah, that's probably. But you know, I told Brett. I told him. I said, I have plenty of open wheel experience because I usually had knocked the fenders off my car before the race was over, but they didn't think that was funny. And I was just trying to put humor into it. But anyway. The NASCAR Whelen Southern Fight Tour, as we talked about last week, is still on their little hiatus. And they will return to action July 4th at Caraway. So if you're in the area then and you're not up here on the island, I think that'll be a good show because you know, they always put a good show on there. And you know, these tour guys, they're looking to do battle on a tour. But like I said, they don't want to go against Bowman Gray. They just don't want to do that. So, whatever. Hey, some cup news. Rumor has it that Carl Edwards may drive for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015. Imagine that. If it does it won't be in the 18 car with M&M sponsorship. J.D. Gibbs told FoxSports.com that Kyle Busch, M&M's, and the 18 were all under contract together in 2015. So Edwards, in his final year of his current contract at Roush Fenway Racing, looks like we'll be moving on. And that was a long marriage. They were together for a long, long time. I think the majority of his career was with, in fact, I think his entire career was with Roush Fenway Racing, starting with Jack Roush and Roush Racing. It was, if my memory serves me correctly, and it usually does, his mom walked around with business cards, as Carl Edwards did as well. And she convinced Jack Roush to give her son a shot now. I think it worked out very well. I think Carl Edwards is a class act. He's a good driver. Anytime we worked New Hampshire or Bristol, and him and I, we break each other's chops a little bit. And he ran with us a couple of times at New Hampshire, New Motor Speedway. And you know, he was kidding around that you know, how deep you can go into the corners because you have all of that rubber compared to what you have on a cup car. So but he was funny. He was a good guy. We had some conversations. And during cup practice, I was directing traffic. He did try to run me over. No, he was only kidding. He was just bobbing and weaving. I think he got in trouble for that too, because you know I was there to make sure that they stayed as close to the outside pit wall as possible. And I didn't leave a lot of room. And I was a big guy then, so I guess it was hard to get around me. So pretty interesting. But, you know, all the good, fun stuff that somehow ends up on pages of a book. I don't know how that happens. I just don't know how. Anyway, the Camp World Truck Series, the trucks, they have a wild schedule. And you know, in talking to some of the truck people, yeah, and I do talk to some of the truck people, their concern is their purses aren't that fantastic. And they got these teams going all over the country, you know, to go racing. So they cut back on their schedule, you know, see if that would make it work. But, you know, I really do feel that the truck series, which when it first came out, when it was the old Craftsman Truck Series, I guess it was first called, and they had that mid-race break in the middle to check tire wear and stuff. You know, back then, I mean, it was designed for a stepping stone for the up-and-comer, and it was also a stepping down stone for the guys who, hey, you know what? I'm not looking to race 36 events a year. I just want to go do some racing. I don't have the big sponsorship, and we can go from there. Now, back in the mid-'90s, a lot of people don't know this, a friend of mine and I, we had talked about doing that, is putting a truck team together and go, because he felt in the close races, when I say close, in close proximity where we are, that we can get to in a day, we can make some money. Now, we ended up not doing it like some of the other things that we talk about throughout our lifetime. But what's happened now is the cost to go to these places, and you know, the cost of fuel and the cost to go over the bridges and the tunnels and all of that good stuff, it's it's cost prohibitive. So even though, you know, you get 20, 30 grand for getting into the race, you know, it's still not covering your tire bill. And everybody thinks, well, you know, it's the same on the weekly level. You win a race, you didn't cover your tire bill. And that's right up the line. You know, that's why you need sponsorship. And there we go, that old sponsorship word. I still see, and this is one of the things, I still see things on the social media, you know, and I'm not going to say who posted, but somebody said, sponsor my car for tires. I need to run up front, so if you sponsor me for tires, it'll be good. Now, I'm in that business. I'm going to say right now, that's a turnoff. That's a complete turnoff. You know, that's not how you go about getting sponsors. You know, the sponsor you're going to get there is a guy who maybe hit Mega Millions or Lotto, and then he's got to get rid of some cash, or you know, maybe some guys that are in the numbers racket and gambling and some of those other things that you could get RICO charges for. You know, they got to get rid of some cash. You know, it might work for that guy. But a businessman trying to grow his or her business, they're not going to plop $1 grand, $2 grand, 10 grand down for a race car driver to get tires to run better so he could win. You know, you still, folks, and I please listen. It's what I call whiff 'em. What's in it for me as a sponsor? What can you sell me? What can you tell me you're going to get from me? You're going to grow my business? You're going to get me more traffic through my door? You're going to promote my business? What are you going to do for me? All right, boom, I'm going to write you a big check for tires for the whole season and for your weekly team. So that's, I don't know, $800 a week, give or take a couple of bucks. And is, you know, let's say 15-week racing season. So that's 12 grand. So I'm going to give you 12 grand. Am I going to make any of that back with the new business you're going to get from me? I don't think so. I'm going to create an awareness so people know, maybe think of me next time. Maybe, maybe not. But you really, as a team owner, at every level, whether you're the entry-level division at your local racetrack to the cup level, what's in it for me? With them. And I know I've talked about the UPS story a couple of times, and you know, and how a driver was basically signed and he sent back the proposal FedEx. UPS is your sponsor, dude. I mean, come on, that should have been a no-brainer. Unfortunately, probably some girl in the office made that mistake. Or guy, please, I don't want all the women yelling at me. But you have to be conscious and cognizant of those things, you know, sponsorship. And I see guys give away quarter, and I say give away quarter pounders. Hey, if you don't mind me asking, what that guy give you? Oh, the guy gave me $200. I bought 2 tires. So the guy gets a whole quarter panel for a whole season because his or her business bought 2 tires that you got 1 race out of. I think that's bad business on both parts. I mean, heck, if you want to give me a quarter pounder for 15 weeks of racing for $200 for the whole year, and I just gave you 2 times, I might even give you 4 for that. But that's what happens, and it should be. I think what the racetrack should do is, on occasion, is have sponsorship seminars. But you know that won't happen because the racetracks want the sponsors to sponsor race events and billboards and races and nights and I understand that because race promoters are business people. But I still think there should be somebody on the inside. Now I know I'm gonna say this, and I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Did Joe say that?" Back in '93, I think it was, I was involved with a late model team, and we had this real big deal going. The sponsorship was with a little-known company called PepsiCo, and it was Pepsi Corporation's what they owned. It was with their fast food chain Taco Bell. And it's now owned by that conglomerate. It's now Yum Foods, but back then it was owned by Pepsi. We meet with a couple of store managers. When I say we, my group, my company, and my driver and car. We meet with a couple of local managers who then go to a local district meeting, who talk to other managers, who get in touch with a district manager, who gets a regional manager in sales and marketing, contacts us, and we have a meeting. And basically we told this individual what we were looking to do and what we were looking to do for their company. We knew this was bigger than, I don't want to say bigger than something we could handle, but we knew we needed a little help. So we reached out to PR guy, announcer, Mr. Bob Finan, whose tireless efforts to help drive this team home, and I'll tell you, I can't thank him enough for what he did to make that happen. At least it could have happened. And what happened is that, and it was no fault of Bobby's, it was his higher-ups. Let me go back and tell you what the deal was. We talk about a budget. This is what our budget is, this is what we need. And they said yes. They were covering the whole budget. And we're going to paint the car Taco Bell colors, and we're going to do all this good stuff, and hand out coupons in the pit area so they could measure, A, the demographics, and B, what the return was. I think you got like a free soda or a free taco, or whatever. I forget what exactly. I mean, it's, you know, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. You got a free drink and a free taco if you spent a certain amount of money on this coupon. And the racetrack, not Mr. Finan, but the racetrack ownership kind of got involved too, because what Taco Bell wanted to do is set up a taco stand in the Midway. You can go and get a taco. I forget what they were at the time, 49 cents, whatever it was. And they wanted to be able to sell tacos. So the racetrack said, well, if you're going to do that, we want 20% of what you make, and we want, I forget what the dollar amount was up front. So I thought this was a done deal. Forget it, they're not going to go for this. So Taco Bell says, all right, but it's one or the other. He goes, I got to sell a lot. I think it was $2,500 they wanted. I got to sell a lot of tacos to cover the $2,500. And if I'm giving you 20% of 49 cents, that's like 10 cents. It cost me 40 cents to make the taco and pay my people. So you're getting so you're getting everything. I lose. I'm going to lose here. So it was boom, the deal squashed. See, what happens is people got greedy. And it would have been so cool, because then that would have led to other things, and I mean, there was one other issue involved with the driver who, when they gave us a check they had the check in their hand for like $25,000, and He said, listen, my car's always been red and white. I really want to keep my car red and white. The guy goes, really? He goes, well, the deal is you painted our colors. He goes, well, I'll take a little less if you let me paint my car red and white. And the guy sat there very calmly. He took the check that was on the desk. He took it, and he folded it in half, and then he ripped it in half long ways. And he goes, okay, gentlemen, thank you. This meeting's over. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful with sponsors. And because if you don't do the right thing for your sponsors, it's the littlest things, The guy wanted the car to be Taco Bell colors. He wanted that. We were still going to get our piece, but he wasn't going to be able to do what he wanted to do with the racetrack. So, and again, I got my hat's off to Mr. Finan, who came and did a presentation to all the district managers, and gave up time from his busy day because he was trying to help us out. And a lot of people don't know that story. But he's like that with everybody, right? Just ask him. Just ask him. You need help, ask him, and he'll do whatever he can to make that happen. So, anyway, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of the ongoings in the top series.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on InRadio.com, broadcasting to the world, so come and catch us.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
We're back. I was in the middle of typing something. We're talking about pink cars. We're talking about the pink cars. Oh, my John Burns was pink. He raced figure eights with us. It was pink, and I remember it said "Think Pink" on the hood. AJ Van Ness, they called him the Turtle. His car was pink. My daughter's figure eight car was pink and with white trim. So yeah, so they had good old days. Pink was pink. So that's what I was typing. So anyway, yeah, but sponsorship, let's you want to do the right thing for your sponsors, and you have to do that. And Tommy Rogers Jr., when he was on the show the last time, and we were talking off camera, we were talking about, we both had the opportunity to have the Big Brothers Big Sisters sponsorship deal, and what that came with. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that came with is you had to keep your mouth shut. And I think that's another thing that taught me how to bite the low lip. I would just sit there and let it happen, And but you have to do these things. And that was when I went out to dinner to sign that deal. I was told that I could not have any blow-ups. That if I had any blow-ups, the deal was over. So I had to learn real quick how to keep my mouth shut. And some days it was just easier for me to just walk into the grandstand. I would just walk away and go into the grandstand instead of losing the deal for my kids. So, and then there was other things. There were appearances and stuff. So you have to do what you have to do. But sponsorship is key, especially in today's economy. When I go to other racetracks and you see the full fields, and then you wonder how they do it. They do it because the track's doing the right thing, and the racer himself is doing the right thing. And you got to do those things. You got to do the right thing. Anyway, Nationwide. The Nationwide was at Road America this past weekend, and Brendan Gowan was the winner with Alex Tagliani, second from the pole. Then we had Kevin O'Donnell third, Chase Elliott fourth, J.J. Ely was fifth, Jeremy Clemens was sixth. Andy Lally of Long Island out of East Northport was seventh. Landon Castle eighth. Elliott Sadler ninth. And Mike Bliss rounded out the top 10. And again, as I said earlier, the trucks were off. They will be in Kentucky on Thursday. So Nationwide. I'll tell you, I'm all for these standalone shows within the top 3 series. Send the trucks to this place, send the Nationwide to that place, and send the Cup to the other place. And I know that would be an expense for NASCAR to bear, because a lot of the Cup officials double up and do Nationwide and vice versa. And there was a weekend I worked in New Hampshire. I worked the Modifieds, the K&M Pro Series East, the trucks, and the Cup. Bristol, I did the same thing. I worked the whole weekend. And all you have to do is change your fire suit. Because you're on pit road, you have to change, because it's TV, so you have to have, everything has to be perfect. And you have no idea when it's TV. Everything's to the second. You get they call it a minute-by-minute list. And you have to follow minute by minute. Like at 6:01, start the invocation. At 6:03 and a half, it'll be the national anthem. At 6:05 and a quarter will give command. It's that intense, and don't be the guy that makes it so that you're behind. It's really that intense. I mean, I was working a Nationwide race, I believe it was. And I had a long green flag. I was up in the tower, and we were going green. It was a decent race, but there was no cautions. And Mike Helton, president of NASCAR, was sitting there, and he goes, "We need a caution." I'm like, I just know, yeah, I'm doing my thing. A couple hours ago, he goes, "Yeah, Joe, we need a caution. We need a caution. We got to get a caution." And I'm saying to myself, "Oh, what do I do? Create one?" I said, and he just looked at me, "Yep, you do." Next thing I know, because I controlled the lights on the tower, he reached across me, it's the light. And as soon as he did, I go to the flag, put it out, put it out, put it out. And I hear him say, debris in turn 2, whatever. We needed a caution. Now, while that cleanup was going on and we were in commercial, because I could see what was being broadcast nationally to my left on a TV monitor. And I was able to see some other things in the monitor right in front of me. But the TV monitor that's what was broadcast, and mine was different camera angles, different, you know, they just kept switching. And he looked at me and he said, we got to pay for this event, for this TV time. So we got to get the commercials in. So you got to go caution. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. I mean, it was so intense. I mean, when they televised the modified race, before I could say on the radio, we're going to go 1 to go with the line, I had to turn around to a director and go, 1 to go with the line. Then I go on the radio, 1 to go with the line. Because they wanted to get a picture of the flag man holding up 1 to go. And they'll do whatever they do when it's 1 to go, point, whatever. And I missed it a couple of times. You would have thought what I did. I mean, they were screaming at me. It was just incredible, just incredible. I did a nationwide race. I was in the control trailer. Now imagine this. It's like 100 degrees. Well, it wasn't 100. It was like 90 degrees, humid. I just worked a race the night before. I was tired. I had to like drive halfway through the night to get to this event. And my assignment was I go in this air-conditioned 53-foot trailer. There's 18 monitors on the back of this trailer, like all the way around, with one big one in the middle. The big one in the middle, what was being broadcast, I should say, transmitted through the networks, whatever. But my job, and it was a road course, my job was to watch. I couldn't watch the big, even though that's what I was focused on. My job was to watch all the smaller monitors, TV screens, because the tower, control tower, couldn't see those areas, even if there was like a cornerman, because you could do a corner caution, not necessarily a full course. So if there was debris or dirt, and I would say, oh, all right, turn 7, we got debris, we're gonna put it, and I'd be on a silent channel. And then they would decide what they want to do. And like I said, it was hot, it was humid, I was tired. I drove half the night to get there. And at one point, imagine like you're sitting in your recliner, and I'm sitting in a real comfortable, nice chair. I'm sitting there, and I'm doing this. I'm falling asleep. I'm like, oh man, I gotta stay awake. So I stand up to stretch, and the director, sit down, you're blocking. Oh, and I sit down. I'm like, oh man, maybe I can go get some outside and get some cold water, and I'll pour it on my face, whatever. I gotta wake up. Because it's nice and cool, it's comfy, and I'm doing this. I'm like, oh, I mean, I have a snack in my neck. So I get out of my seat and I duck down and I'm walking towards the door, and so he goes, what are you doing? I said, I need a drink of water. I'll get it for you. And I'm like, oh, back to your seat. Okay, I go back to my seat, and I'm trying to splash the water on my face, and I'm falling asleep. That was the toughest race I ever had at work. I mean, I was falling asleep, but I had a lot of fun. And I don't know, Kevin. I mean, Kevin, Long Island Need for Speed, he thinks some of the races are rigged, and it's like professional wrestling. They know ahead of time who's going to win. I don't totally agree with that. Are there some mitigating circumstances that make things happen? Maybe. Are there certain people that go through the tech line with the fine-tooth comb, and other teams, maybe you might miss something? I don't know. I can only go by what I have. I'm doing a K&N series race, a Pro Series East race one time, and Ben Kennedy's in it. Now my job was to measure the front balance. They call it the kick-up. There was this tool, I just push it across, and everything had to fall into place, had to dovetail into it. And everything was fitting, except I couldn't get underneath the nose piece, the front balance. So, car's being driven by Ben Kennedy. Now, we all know who Ben Kennedy is. That's Lisa France Kennedy's son. No good. Now, when you're no good, you don't just like go to the side, you're fixing, come back. You got to push all the way down and around and come back. So now they do this. Put the tool in, boop. No good. Go back and around and around. Now, there's this woman. I recognize the woman, but I don't really know who it is. So the K&N official who's at the scales comes over to me and goes, Joe, do you know who that is? I said, the driver? He goes, yeah. I said, Ben Kennedy. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, you know who that woman is walking with the car now that doesn't look too happy? She looks familiar. I don't know. He says, that's his mother, Lisa France Kennedy. What are you doing? I said, he's got to be right. He goes, sometimes you got to, give the benefit of the doubt. Well, after like the fourth or fifth time they make it, Lisa France Kennedy comes over, puts a hand on my shoulder, and I'm like, she's gonna rip my NASCAR patch off and tell me to go home. This is what I'm thinking. She goes, thank you for doing your job. I looked over to the scale guy after she walked away. I went, because that's what you have to do, You have to do that, and that goes back to consistency, making the right call. If the tool says it's got to fit underneath, it fits underneath for everybody. And when it starts to not fit in, then you got a problem. And were there times when I had ride heights, I had chassis heights on the modifieds for a half a season on the scales, and as they rolled it over the scales, some of the teams, they would lift the car up. They'd lift on the nerf bars, they'd lift on the bumper, because the car would come up, and then it would take a little bit for it to settle. And they'd make ride height. So if I saw them do that, I waited a little bit, because there was a lot of other things that had to be checked, in addition to the ride height, then maybe the quarter panel heights, the angle of the roof, things of that nature. So if I waited long enough, I knew it wouldn't fit. Now I'd be lying. I'd be lying to you folks if I didn't tell you there was some guys, I did it as fast as I could. And the guys who treated me like on the way they shouldn't have, maybe I did it a little quicker. But these are the things that happen. So going to is it rigged? I'm going to say no, it's not. But you got to understand the attitudes of some of these teams. Think about a crew chief. Let's get out of racing for a second. You're an umpire in baseball, and you're the home plate umpire, and every time, Lefty Schwartz gets up there to bat, and he questions every pitch, every time, and breaks your chops and throws his bat, and gives you these looks like, who are you? It's a close one. Did it catch the outside corner? Did it not? Well, you know what? That's a strike, dude. Maybe on every other bat, it might be a ball, but because he breaks your chops, that's a strike. And that's just what it. Well, Jay Slice, if I didn't see your name, welcome. Jay Slice, I think, fresh off a Little League championship, if I'm not mistaken. Congratulations. Had a great season. Miss him at the racetrack. Had some good times with Jay Slice, working on my garage and then going to the racetrack with our Dapo shirts. So, those are the things that happens. You have to. We're humans. We're human beings. Somebody breaks your chops every chance they can. You know what? On the grade thing, they're not getting it. They're not getting the grade thing. And I had a guy come up there, a driver come up to me at Riverhead years ago when I was the head guy. He comes up to me and his engine builder goes, listen, he goes, we got a little problem. My motor's coming up big. All right, what's it supposed to go? Oh, it's supposed to come up 355. It's coming up 358. So, oh, that's big. He goes, but you need the, I'll say vehicles, truck. You need the trucks. You don't have that many. So I said, hey, do me a favor. How much time do you need to fix it? He goes, I need at least 2, maybe 3 weeks. All right, this is what you're going to do. You're not going to win. Don't win the race. Don't embarrass me, and I won't embarrass you. Come in second. If you're coming off the corner third and 1 and 2 start wrecking, you might want to lock the brakes and let fourth pass you, because if you win the race, we're going to have a problem. Yep. You got it. So what does he do? It's a 20-lap race, and by lap like 5 or 6, he's in the lead. By lap like 9, 10, he's got a half a lap lead. By lap 14, 15, he's lapped half the field. And he came over the corner, come around the corner where I officiated, and I just pointed the black flag at him. I'm like, you got to slow down. He wins the race. They're all jumping on for joy. They all run out there. You know, they like 900 pitches like it's a wedding, and they go to tech. And I said to the head tech guy, you don't even need to tech it. They're disqualified. Why? We won the race. I said, don't make me check this motor, because it's gonna come up bad. And I don't have room in my garage for your motor, because I was sending, when I found illegal parts, I was sending them out to NASCAR. Jerry Cook called me up, please. He goes, don't send me no more parts. Keep them, sell them, go to the flea market, go to other racetracks. Don't send them to NASCAR. You know, hold on to them yourself. So this engine builder, they got all indignant with me. I said, I told you what the deal was. I said, I'll let you do that, but don't win. I even they added 200 pounds. No, they went out and won the race. Come on, so it all goes, you know, don't embarrass me, I don't embarrass you. You want to go in my office, you want to say all kinds of things, and you want to talk about my mother and stuff. That's fine. But on the racetrack, in front of other people, on the ramp, in the pit area, whatever, in the tech area, you need to be professional. You be professional, I'll be professional, it's all happy. Everything's all good. You know, so those are the things, you know. So again, it's not rigged, but, you know, let's go back. Let's go back to the Michael Waltrip disqualification at Daytona when the Toyotas first went into it. NASCAR said, Michael, use the house car. Plain and simple. Michael, no, I think my car, out of my shop, I like it. Michael, please use the house car. Nobody will know the difference. Yeah, but, and you know Michael Waltrip, you listen to him announcing, oh, but my car's, so what happens? They find some stuff in his intake right before qualifying, and it's going to make them all good. Guess what? He's DQ'd, he's fined, they take his car away. You know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's just the things that you got to do. The things that you have to do, and you don't want to do those. You don't want to put, you know, I mean, come on, think about it. NASCAR saying, use this car, because the Toyota needed to do well in that race, man. They had, you know, they didn't want to do that. They want NASCAR. They don't want Toyota to have a bad run that day. I was there. I saw the whole thing, and they, you know, you want to make NASCAR happy, because if you don't, they're going to make you unhappy. You know, so anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go over the Cup results from Sonoma, California. I'm back. Actually, I never left. I was still sitting here. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties. You know. Hey, it happens. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, but that's all right. Anyway, the Formula One Australian Grand Prix was run this past weekend with Nico Rosberg, the winner, Lewis Hamilton second, Valtteri Bottas third, Felipe Massa fourth, and Fernando Alonso fifth. So Formula One racing, not my favorite thing, but you know what? You know, there's some. I'll tell you what. I would race just about anything except a Formula One car. I have no desire, and I don't think there's anybody out there that would give me that opportunity. Thank goodness. But it's just I don't know, man. Those things scare me. They do scare me. Anyway, the Cup was at Sonoma road course. And they pull out the, you know, the Boris said type of guys that come out. He finished deep in the field. You know, he's supposed to be a good road course racer, and he is. But he was deep in the field. The way it went, Carl Edwards was the winner. Jeff Gordon second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was third. Then we have Jamie McMurray finishing fourth from the pole. Paul Menard was fifth. Casey Kane sixth. Jimmy Johnson seventh. Marcus Ambrose a good run finishing eighth. Greg Biffle ninth, and Clint Boyer another solid run finishing 10th. Looking at the points, just looking at the top three, maybe you notice something, you know. Jeff Gordon has a 20-point lead over Jimmy Johnson with Dale Earnhardt Jr. 25 back. That's interesting. Hendrick Motorsports, top three in points right now. And not that the points make a difference, because it all gets shuffled out. They go do this chase, you know, and how many people ended up in this chase? You know, it's just... I don't agree with it. I understand why it's being done. But this is what I would like to see. You know, you want to let's race at racetracks where you got to muscle it around. Let's race at, you know, let's race at a 3/8 mile racetrack. Let's throw a road course in there. Forget the super speedways. All right, one, pick it. You pick it. Talladega, whatever. You know, I'm not all for these mile-and-a-half cookie-cutter racetracks. You know, I want to see it like at the end of the race, you have trouble reading the numbers, because when you came off the corners, the right side was getting rubbed against the wall, and when the guy on the inside was pushing you up going into the corners, you're rubbing your nose. I want to see good, hard, clean racing for the chase. Let's separate the men from the boys here. Let's just do that. Because I don't know. And I understand why the chase was made, and it was to create interest. You know, that part of the year, October, November, football's happening, so you lose a lot of viewership to football. No matter what kind of a diehard racing fan you are, if the Jets are on, or the Chicago Bears, or the New England Patriots, and that's your team, you're not going to watch the race. You might record the race and watch it later, and then try to avoid the news. Don't tell me who won so I can watch the race. But football, man, there's something about football. Football fans they're more passionate about their game than race fans. And, you know, like Jay said, he doesn't like the chase at all, and changes make it. Absolutely, I don't disagree with that. And like last year, I lost a little bit of what any favoritism I had towards it, or if that's even the right word, when they put the 13th car in because Jeff Gordon didn't make it. You know what? He didn't make it. All right? So if his car owner, whatever the case was, if somebody complained and said, if he's not in the chase, he's not running, my sponsor's going to pull out because of it. I know we need to be sponsor conscious, but you know what? He didn't make it. But they bent the rules to let him in. Now, you know, it's like back in the day when Richard Petty was on his slide going downhill, and he didn't make the Daytona 500. And he went in there screaming, maybe not screaming, but he went in there and talked to the powers to be, and he said, he goes, this will be the first Daytona 500 there's not a Petty in it. Next thing you know, there's a rule change. Provisionals, past champions. Past champion don't make the races in. Provisionals. See, the rules are changed to accommodate the situation. Nobody knows that better than me, because, and I'm going to say this. Yeah, I could do that. I got time. My kids run in blunderbuss. I have the only, in my eyes, 100% legal car on the track. 100%, because everybody has a little something. I had nothing. You know why I had nothing? Two reasons. One, I knew they were going to break my chops. I knew they were going to get the fine-tooth comb out every time my car had to go through tech, which they did. And if a bird had a little dropping as he flew over the racetrack and landed behind my race car, I was leaking. And Jay Slicer can confirm that. So here's what happens. The kid finishes 7th or whatever. I think she finished 7th. First place guy wins, the second place guy protests him. The first place guy protests the second place guy. Now they're both DQ'd. But the first and second place guy go, well, you know, this guy, and this guy have those same parts, so they got to be disqualified too. So guess what? They go down 6 spots, 6 box cars are going to be disqualified. So I go up to the tech guys. I says, you can't find the legal one out of the top 6, can you? No, we're going to have a meeting. So step back. No, there's no meeting. If you DQ'd 1 and 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 have the same issue, you need to DQ them. Just let me know who has the trophy because my team won. That day, that minute, I walk away, they made a rule change to allow those illegal parts. But please, I don't know. I just, so back to what Kevin from Long Island Need for Speed said about races are fixed. They're not fixed. You just sometimes have politics involved. The politics of racing are the same politics that are in the NFL, that are the same politics in hockey. Every professional sport has politics. Every major corporation has politics. And if you don't think there's politics at the cup level in racing, you're sadly mistaken. Is it as great as it is on the weekly level? Maybe. Maybe. But then again, you also don't know what behind the scenes conversations went on. And I'll share a story with you. In that movie, Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise and whatnot, Tom Cruise gets called into NASCAR as well, the sanctioning body's main office with Rowdy. I think his name was not, maybe it was, I don't remember the guy's name, but he gets called in. And they were told, rub fenders one more time, bump bumpers one more time, blah, 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 the whole shebang. They're going to be out because they're not, as he put it, we're not going to peel you off the racetrack with a putty knife. What that was Jeffrey Bodine and Dale Earnhardt Sr., because they were wrecking each other week after week. Mostly everything in that movie, Days of Thunder, other than the pushing and grinding and beating and banging at 220 miles an hour. But the storyline, other than the doctor and pulling him over on the highway, but that stuff really happened. The crew chief was Harry Hyde, and some of those stories were real things. Ed Cox, who was at the time, he was the NASCAR Wheeling Modified Series director. He was the technical director for that movie, but in the credits it's listed as NASCAR, and so he was the guy that told all that stuff too. And yeah, they say even Little League has politics. So politics is like I said, is like Kevin says, racing's not fixed. It's not like wrestling. Okay, you're gonna win this one because we're going to build this up, and so-and-so is going to beat you, and then we're going to have a match, a rubber match, and I'm not saying it's fixed, but, you're putting on a show. You got to put on a good show. You got to put on a good show for everybody involved. It's all about the show. And I think if more people realize that, I think it would be a better understanding and a better show. Take your weekly series. Take your local weekly racetrack. That you're getting full fields of cars. Now there are people who come to see wrecks and crashes and fights. There are people that want to see that. But then again, a good majority of people, I think, want to see good hard racing. When I watch a race, and then when I watch a race when I'm not an official, I don't have a car in there, and my buddy's not racing that race. I watch a race from a whole different perspective. I watch in qualifying, I watch like the last qualified spots. Like if they're taking 5 in that qualifying event, I'm gonna watch 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th to see what goes on there. Everybody else's eyes are on the leader, so I'm all intense. I'm like, watching, waiting. The time trialing thing. You know, there's nothing to watch. To me, time trials is watching paint dry, watching the grass grow, watching an egg hatch. Time trialing to me is boring. Time trialing, I think, should be done similar to what Cup's doing, where it's done through practice. I don't like, you know, you're in section A, now B, and C, and these are, no. You go out and practice. Your best time in practice is it. That's, you know, and I think the weekly guys should do it too. I think it would make it more interesting. You know, then you know, sitting there, okay, on the line of car 2, you're sitting there, okay. His first lap, 12.374. Oh, that's good. His second lap is 12.562. His first lap is, and the announcer has to try to make it interesting. And he does that with inflection in his voice. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, so what I do now is I try to guess what the times are, because I got to make it interesting for my own self. So I try to figure out what the time was. All right, let's see. I think that was a 12.2. And then here, 12.21. I said, wow, that's pretty close. You know, but it's just one of those things. It's you know, you got to make it interesting. Got to make it interesting. So I don't know. Anyway, and we're coming down to the end time because I don't want to pay overtime. It's not in the budget. I got like 2.5 minutes. Now the minutes that we lost, folks, I'm sorry we can't get that back. So it's you know, when it's gone, it's gone. But this week, what do we got? The Cup and the trucks and everybody, they're going to be in Kentucky. Nice facility, nice racetrack. It's a cookie cutter place, but everything you know, inside the infield is really nice. And I think there's only one road in and one road out. But anyway, I think it'll be a good race. It'll be a good race, and it's going to be, the weather should be hot in Kentucky, so that means the tempers are going to be flaring. But anyway, this weekend, NASCAR Woodland Modified Tour will be here on Long Island at Riverhead Raceway. So it should be interesting. I think we're starting 28 cars, and I believe there are like 32 registered, so some cars are going to be home. Going to be sent home then for not making it. And this used to be one of the racetracks or one of the races that we got 50 to 60 cars and we were starting 28. We were sending home more than we had. And but those days are long gone. And they made it difficult for the local guy to get in with some of the rule changes. And they didn't do that for that. They didn't say, oh, let's make it so the Riverhead guy can get in. But they made some rule changes that would be cost prohibitive to the local guys. So let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I don't believe the 83 is coming down. I think it's ready, but it's not coming to Riverhead. So we'll have the 33 and the 38 with my guys. I'm looking forward to it. I believe I'll actually, we'll see when we get there, what's going to happen. But anyway, Cup is in Kentucky, the Tour's in here on Long Island, and it's all good. So, with that being said, I want to ask guys a favor, guys and gals. My friend John Trotter is suffering cancer. It's near the end, and keep him in your prayers. And hospice is there, and I want you guys to look after him. He's in your prayers. He's a good guy, big race fan. Was a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan when he was sponsored by Bud, because that's his drink of choice. So anyway, and the blueberry pie, yes, Silverback, I remember that. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of the busy evening to come listen to the 505 on Race Show in here and in review. Have a great week. Be safe wherever your endeavors take you. Tell somebody that you love them, and God bless you all. Thank you.
you.